All right, welcome back to another episode of the Digital Health Podcast. We have an amazing show for you guys today. If this is your first time checking out the podcast, my name is Anthony Virgo. I'm based in Brooklyn, New York. I spent the last 7 years at a health tech startup, and now I am running my own AI automation and SEO marketing company. Along with my co-host and partner Kazar. Unfortunately, Kazar isn't able to make it today, but we're still gonna have an amazing show. So my guest Rizqa, we would love for you to introduce yourself, give a bio, and we're going to talk a little bit about healthcare.
Hi. Thank you so much, Anthony. Thank you so much for having me. It's really a pleasure and really excited to hear your story and yeah, to be here. My name is Rizqa Amin-Yang, and I am an occupational therapist by background. I studied in Cape Town, South Africa, and I did a very long community service in a really dangerous area in Western Cape, Cape Town. And so from my occupational therapy days, I moved into the area of public health because I had a lot of questions and to understand why people do what they do.
Right.
And it took me on my journey to public health. And from public health, I moved into provincial work, so out of occupational therapy and more into healthcare oversight, so more into the public health domain. And alongside this, I was always involved in mental health. So I was also on a platform where people could book sessions with me and really help people deal with their daily struggles. And that's sort of where my new business has come from as well, because I'm seeing that there's need in the mental wellness space, not just mental health.
Right, 1,000%. That's amazing. So we usually ask our guests originally, how did they get started in this industry? When we think about healthcare, whether it's occupational health or mental health or a dentist or, a primary care, there's so many different avenues or journeys someone could kind of take in this industry. So how did you
Mm.
develop a passion for what you're doing now? How did you start off in occupational health? What was that something that you always wanted to do, or were you in a different industry before? We actually had a guest who was actually in finance for 30 years, and then they
Oh,
became
wow.
and then they became a therapist. So just wondering, what was your journey? Did you grow up knowing that you
Sure.
wanted to serve people, or how did that happen for you?
So it's not going to be anything what you're expecting.
Okay.
It's going to start off with the fact that I wasn't a sporty child. My first high school was very academic, and that's really where I thrived. And when I moved schools, all my friends were athletes, and I felt a bit left out. And so I decided to take up first aid, and it really clicked. And I really loved being alongside the field. And if a player dropped, I was the one that had to run. And so that was super duper exciting for me. And I mean, you would now think, okay, cool, but now why didn't you go into medicine? And yeah, it's because I had a lot of family pressure not to study medicine, because we were hearing stories about um, how our family friends who were studying medicine, they were going through some really heavy challenges, and it was a firm no from my family. They were very, very protective. And so with some job shadowing and with some aptitude tests, I realized, wow, the world of rehabilitation it's quite amazing. And so that's
Right.
when I got into occupational therapy. And in my undergrad years, and as I started practicing, mental health really, really stuck for me. And as I grew in my field and as I started taking interest in certain areas, I came across Martin Seligman's positive psychology, which really aligned with OT. It's not about just treating the illness, but about building well-being. And that's where Still Willows was born as well. That's how it started. Not where you would expect.
Right. It really just took your own journey and kind of found it yourself for the most part, right?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
amazing though. That's amazing. I think that's interesting because it adds to it comes with a little bit of passion, right? Like I
Yeah.
imagine you running out to the field when one of your classmates got hurt or anything like that, and you really being into it.
Exactly.
Which is like that's how it starts, right? You get like some type of bug with doing something young, and then when you're older, you're like, wow, I had a passion for this, or I didn't know I was going down this route at all, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then life just pulls you as it goes. It just pulls you in this direction, because this is where what you're curious about, you know?
Right, 1000%. You talked a little bit about like behavioral and mental health as well. And that's
Hmm.
big, especially on this podcast, especially with with the population that we served. I know I spent a lot of, time in different communities where people understood or they really didn't understand behavior health or mental health. There was sort of a stigma, right? People would think like
Mm.
you're crazy or something's wrong with you if you are going through behavior health problem. What are some
Yeah.
misconceptions, I guess, over over your way in Africa about healthcare, about mental health? Is there still a stigma? Are people more open to it? What is more so, people are people like actively receiving services? What is your take on that?
Yeah, so mental health is really fragmented in South Africa. Yeah, our depression affects about 27% of South Africans, but only 15 to 25% of South Africans actually receive help or seek it. There's fewer than one psychiatrist, one psychologist per 100,000 people.
Wow.
And I think around only 50% of our state hospitals actually have a psychiatrist. So the
Mm,
psychiatric care, but not everyone has a psychiatrist. There's a lot of stigma around um, mental health. And I don't speak for the entire Africa because Africa is humongous.
right.
But I do speak to South Africa, and what I know is that there's also a lot of cultural barriers.
Mm,
So just the language people use around mental health. You're crazy, you're mad, da 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 da. Or sometimes it's seen as a spiritual attack. It's seen as something supernatural.
mm,
And then obviously just the label that you can get and how people treat you if you have to declare I have this mental health illness, I have that mental health illness. It's horrifying. It stops people from access, it stops people from treatment, it isolates them even further, which is really not what you want. You want them to have as much support as possible.
right.
So yeah, I think access is huge here as well. In South Africa, we have a primary healthcare approach. So
Mm,
people will access their local community first, the local community clinic, and from
right.
there you'll get referred to the next level, which is a district hospital, and then our tertiary hospital is very specialized.
Mm,
But the amount of mental health care that takes place in the community at the local clinic is so thin.
mm,
Yeah, and I think because people don't understand what mental health is,
right.
they don't understand that they're struggling and you're very much able to receive help. People would rather wait for crisis, will wait for when things are really bad, and then their families are the ones that will drag them to the clinic because something's wrong, rather than seeing, oh wow, I'm struggling here, something's happening here. I have this pattern of behavior that's maybe causing me to be a little bit dysfunctional, not able to go to work or not able to just live life as fully as the next person. So I definitely think what is mental health is a huge issue in South Africa. How everyone understands mental health is very different. Not
Mm,
everyone has access to good mental health care. And also, what is society going to think of me? And culturally, what is my family and friends going to say? Because we might see it as a medical condition, we might see it as something supernatural, and I need to go and cleanse myself. And yeah,
right.
it's very complex, super
Right.
complex.
Yeah, I guess people have their own perspective and it really takes for that person to be open. I guess in your experience or the people that you work with, how do you make sure that they're open? Like, so say for example, if I was someone who had the stigma and this was like my first session and, I wasn't really open to it, or, maybe I was at an event and I met you and I heard that you said something that I really liked, but I've never actually did, therapy or sat with anyone. How do you actually share resources or make people feel comfortable when it comes to
Yeah.
either when you're actually treating people or actually if people ask you for advice about getting treated.
Yeah. I think that great care, is having access to a service without friction. So you coming to me, and firstly,
Right.
coming to me hopefully would have happened without friction, without
Right.
judgment. And then a lot of it is just sitting down and let's have a very candid conversation. And you're going to tell me what you're going through and you're going to tell me what you're experiencing. And it's really about me being non judgmental and genuinely listening to you and genuinely caring for you, and being curious. Yeah, and helping you understand. So obviously, the person you're going to speak to me. You're going to speak to
Right.
me, and I'm going to give you some information, and we may be going to speak about, wow, okay, I think this may look like that, this may look like this. And even call in your family. I've done that multiple times already, where it's just like, oh, my dad says this, my aunt says that, and da 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 da. I think we need to come to understanding of what's happening with you, and if a referral is needed for more specialized care, then that's what's needed. But also getting your family on board to say that this is actually what's happening to this person, and this is the type of support that this person needs, but also to understand the community and to understand society and to understand, okay, these are the things that are available to you in society, not just me. I'm not the only person out here that can help, but there's
Right.
this support group and there's this resource that could help as well. So really trying to have a person-centered approach. So the person in front of me really catering to their needs and really being as holistic as possible and relevant and appropriate. I wouldn't suggest something super expensive for someone who's just earning enough to make it through the month as well. So yeah, I think that's how I would approach it, and I think that's
Right.
also what really good care could look like.
Amazing. So tell me a little bit about your company, I guess. Still Willows is that how are you, I guess, engaging with people, or how are people coming for your services? Are you seeing people or I guess is your team or anyone, are you guys typically supporting people within the community in person, or do you do a lot of virtual kind of stuff or remote, or is it a combination of both?
Yeah, so when I was working with the mental wellness team, the company that offered counseling online, that's where I really saw a gap. I thought to myself, wow, these are people without mental illnesses who are struggling with just the normal daily things happening. And
Right.
I found that's what's really missing. And so I branched off and I decided not to call it counseling. I decided, okay, let's do mental health coaching, so mental wellness coaching. And I found that there's less stigma with the term coaching, but also we have to now understand, okay, what's the difference between coaching and counseling? Whereas counseling and therapy, we will go back into someone's life and childhood and behavior patterns, and we will look at diagnoses and insight, and we will do a lot of healing in that space to be able to move this person forward. Whereas coaching does not go back into childhood history and doesn't really do the healing bit, but it really focuses on what is your challenge right now? What are you struggling with right now? And how do we break up our goal into small little bite-sized pieces so that we can reach it, so we can sort of gain momentum right here where we are at and move forward. So Still Willows is a virtual coaching consultancy where companies would actually reach out to me and say, hey, I would like to subscribe, and the employees get one-to-one coaching, and everyone goes through the program. We obviously have individual clients as well, but I found that people feel so much lighter just having access to someone who's listening, someone who can understand their struggles non-judgmentally, and just having the space to speak about challenges and then coming up with their own solutions. I'm not here to give you the answer. You are the own expert of your own life. And so it's amazing if people just have that platform to speak about the challenges. They often go, oh, wait, this is what I need to do. I can actually, yeah, let's do this. And I'm like, yeah, that sounds great.
I
And
always
so,
say,
so people
I,
find their own voice. It's amazing.
yeah, I always say it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it, right? So that's like
Yeah,
an amazing
yeah.
benefit. Let me ask, are you Is it more so? So earlier you said something about a subscription. The employer is paying the subscription on behalf. So it's no friction, right? No friction for the employees themselves.
Yeah,
That's
yeah. So
amazing.
they get a booking link, and no one knows that they've reached out to me. No one knows what they're speaking about. Yeah, it's actually quite fun.
That's amazing, amazing. So how do I guess the employers or how do people who want this service for their I guess team reach out to you? What is that process like? Are you doing like a lot of marketing or on LinkedIn or TikTok, Facebook? Like what is that process like? How do you actually like receive employer clients at that?
Mm. So I have been identifying small businesses which I have reached out to via their email or via LinkedIn, and then I have been posting some of my blogs on LinkedIn, which is how people find me. Warm
Mhm.
referrals have also been working really well. So people are saying, "Hey, we have this coaching service which is like really helping the atmosphere and the productivity of our staff members. I think you should give it a go." Yeah, that's how it's been going for me at the moment. Yeah, and then I have a website,
Mhm.
stillwillows.com, and that's where people can book a an explorative conversation with me and just see what services are offered.
Got it. And are you a one person team or is it a few others with you or how are you working? How big is your team now while you're
Hmm.
servicing?
Yeah. So at the moment, it's me and someone helping me with admin. And
Mhm.
then I have a few coaches sort of on call for as things grow and I see, look, I would probably not be able to maintain the same quality of coaching. And that's when I'll bring other coaches on as I scale. But for now, it's been wonderful because it's just me and I'm really in the ground and in the trenches, and it's been a
Right.
wonderful learning experience.
All right, you're at the startup level. So let me change gears a little bit and talk a little bit about technology and within
Mhm.
healthcare and within health. When we
Yeah.
talk about health on this podcast, we talk about so many different ways, right? If you're talking about behavior or mental health, we know that at the time when social media first came out, we didn't know what it was going to do to people, but now we know some of the, repercussions of what social media does to
Mhm.
maybe a child or to someone's day to day. Now we have this new concept of like AI coming down the pipeline, and AI is doing a lot in the healthcare industry to support. But also, there's a lot of stigma around AI itself. So, what is your perspective on AI? Are you using it internally in your business, or have you heard about other providers using it? I guess my question would be is one, or have you adopted it in any way, shape, or form in terms of your care? And also two, what is the perspective of AI, in your area with other clinicians and other professionals?
Yeah, yeah. I definitely use AI. I love AI and I love the support that it gives, and I use it internally, especially for admin tasks.
Mhm.
It just makes things seamless for me. I don't have to waste hours and hours trying to think of a thing. It's like I have a little assistant to help me think through things as well, which is really enjoyable. I have heard that the previous company that I worked with for the online counseling, they actually use it as a screener now. So AI will screen and sort of put clients in different categories, and from
Mhm.
there, the therapist gets chosen just based
Mm.
on what the client looks like.
Category,
Sorry.
yeah,
And
qualifying
then,
them.
yes, exactly. And then a lot of my clients via Still Willows and family members actually tell me that they reflect using AI. So a situation will arise and they will think to themselves, is this in my head? Am I getting upset over nothing? Let me just chat to AI about this and let's get its perspective. And then they have what they would call, not my words, but a free counselor.
Yeah.
Yeah, so someone that they can reflect with, and they love the fact that AI doesn't always give them the cushy answers. Sometimes AI will say no, but I think you're wrong here. I think this is what happened, you know, whatever it tells them. So I think people are using it in various ways, and it's been quite helpful. I have heard of some people who are still a bit hesitant, and I think hesitant because they don't understand. I
Mhm.
think AI is evolving so much that we're probably not all on the same grasping level of what this is all about. But I think as people start to interact with it and people start to see its value, more and more people are getting into it, which is great, I think.
Amazing. Yeah, I definitely feel like it's something to get used to because there's so many benefits. Yeah, there's pros and cons to everything. But what you said, where people are getting like a free counselor or free like reflection, I feel like that is removing a lot of the stigma that mental health might have had before because it's allowing them to
Mhm.
reflect and like talk to, whether they're talking to AI, they're talking to someone, or they're speaking
Yeah.
it, they're reflecting and thinking about it a lot.
Yeah. It's an opportunity. It really is an opportunity, and it's a non-judgmental space. And there's no friction. And I think 74% of the South African population has access to the internet, and so I think that's a large majority of the population who could perhaps have access to AI, which could be helpful. I
Mhm.
think. As we go along and as we interact with it a bit more.
Definitely, definitely. We talk to a lot of people where they're on one or two sides. They're for AI and they're encouraging it, the growth, as long as it's responsible. And then there's other people that's like, absolutely not, throw it away. We want nothing to do with
Yeah.
it. It's here to take our jobs and
Yeah,
take over. But it sounds like you're more so encouraging in it, correct?
I am. Yeah, responsibly. Absolutely. I think it's an opportunity.
Definitely. And even the people that we work with, right? We let people know a few things, right? One, they have to become familiar with this technology. It's new, it's brand new. So if you're not either using ChatGPT or not using like AI outside of work, then you're never gonna win because you don't even know what it does. You know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
when we talk about businesses, right? Somebody like yourself who might have started something on their own or is interested in AI, whether it's education or actually getting an agent, we always say, work with somebody who has expertise in your domain. So if you're thinking about like, AI and you want to work with some AI partners, we are AI within healthcare. I'm not AI within like hotels or anything like that. Although I
Mm,
can create an AI for a hotel, but I come from healthcare, so I'm thinking about, patient information, protecting that.
mm.
How does someone feel right before they come to their doctor or if their toothache, because I sat with a client and understand what that day to day is like. Someone who is just a engineer who build AI isn't going to know that part of it and isn't going to know how to build it with that same thought process.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. And I do think that it has to be tailored and relevant and appropriate
Mhm.
to healthcare and not a conveyor belt of AI, all the different AIs that you have available now. I do think it has to be tailored.
1000%, right? It has to be customized to, the use case, to the person, to the practice, to, the business,
Yeah.
whatever they have going. Well, this has
Mm.
been an amazing conversation. We usually end off with two last questions. And our last question is what's one powerful message you want to leave with our listeners? It could be anything you talked about today or anything from your personal life. And then the last question is, what's the best way to reach out to you, whether someone heard something that you said or want to follow you? Is it LinkedIn? Is it Instagram? Is it your website? What's the best way to contact you?
Yeah. So the best way to contact me would be via my website. So www.stillwillows.com, and from there you can go to my contact page and we can set up a call. You could find me Rizqa Amin-Yang on LinkedIn as well, and you can send a message. That would be the best ways to get hold of me. And then I think the one thing that I really would want people to take away is that support doesn't have to wait until things fall apart or until things are in crisis. You are allowed to ask for help when things are just hard. It's not catastrophic, not impossible, it's just hard. And I think that's exactly what Still Willows is here for.
Amazing, amazing. And we'll make sure we put the website in the description for this episode as well. So this has been Amazing. Thank you for being a part of the Digital Health Podcast. And we would love to bring you on again, right? Yeah, everything might look different in the next 6 months, right? Your business, this AI thing,
Mm,
everything is changing so fast within healthcare that
yeah.
we want to make sure that we stay on top of it. And, working with
Mm,
people like you and communicating and sharing this information out here is how we're going to do it.
yeah. Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure being with you, and I'd love to be back.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.